Hello and welcome to the Notes to Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Huynh, and this podcast is all about the notes, the tips, the bits of wisdom and advice that the future versions of ourselves could share with the current versions of ourselves today if they could. With every episode, these are pertinent things that either I myself need to hear right now or needed to hear at some point in my life, but that of which might also resonate with someone else out there that is needing to hear the same things that I'll talk about in this podcast today. And so with that, we can go ahead to dive into today's episode, which is learning to fill your own cup. So the inspiration for this episode actually came about because I realized that I had a need within my romantic relationship that wasn't being met. And so how do we go ahead to fill our own cup? Where do we even start? Well, the first thing that you need to do is to become aware of what it is that you are needing. How can we fill our own cup if we're not even 100% clear on what it is that we're needing at this moment in time? Whether that's love, happiness, comfort, space, etc. How can we be the first one to tend to this need without depending on someone else or external circumstances to bring it to us? If you're feeling overwhelmed, sad, upset, confused, or lost, you might not even know what it is that you're needing in this moment unless you actually take the time to really lovingly ask yourself. For this, you may need to sit with yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, and really figure it out. I'd recommend journaling or meditating on it because when you find quiet time for yourself, you'll be surprised on how much clearer you'll be able to hear the answer. Sometimes it'll take asking that question over and over and over again until your intuition and internal wisdom reveals the answer to you. Once you have that clear, the second thing that I want you to do is to make a list of all the ways that this need can be filled for you. So, as mentioned before, this episode is inspired by things happening in my personal life. So, I became aware that I had a need for quality time and emotional connection that wasn't being met. And I was relying on my partner to fulfill this need for me. And so recently he got a new job and I went from being able to see him more in the day to not being able to see him for 9 to 11 hours of the day. And then 2 weeks ago, I had also quit my corporate office job to really figure things out for myself and work on creative projects like this podcast. Because I was relying on him to fulfill this need for me and suddenly he wasn't able to, it caused a lot of issues or disruptions within our relationship together, and it was definitely not harmonious in the last couple days. If I'm using myself as an example for this need, and my need is emotional connection, intimacy, and quality time, then what can I do about that myself? If I can list all the ways that I can fulfill this need myself, then it would be that I could call up a friend and ask to hang out. I could put myself out there, find an activity or hobby that I'm interested in, and try and meet new people that way. I could also chat up the people in my building if I came into contact with them. And I probably could also call up any family members just for a phone conversation and ask them how they're doing. With me leaving my 9 to 5 job and being at home all the time, my interactions are really limited, especially now that I'm not seeing my partner as often. And so when I list out these ways, these are things that I can take control of myself and fill that cup and have that need of connection met without relying on my partner. So if for you, you're looking for more happiness in your life, then write down all of the things that makes you happy. Maybe it's dogs. Maybe it's having that fresh cup of coffee in your morning. Maybe it's working out or enjoying nature. getting a sweet little treat at your favorite local bakery. Literally anything. It could be doing multiple cartwheels down a hill of a grass field, for all I care, but I just want you to list as many ways that you can that your happiness cup could be filled by something that you yourself can do. After you've thought of as many ways as possible, the third thing that I want you to do is to implement as many of these into your day as possible. Like I said, if dogs make you happy, then you can go out on a walk and see how many dogs that you can spot. Maybe you can visit your local animal shelter, see if you can volunteer. You can go to a pet store and see if you can play with the dogs there. If you enjoy sunsets, can you take yourself out for the evening by yourself to see something that makes you happy? You can also go a lot deeper than this. I'm just using dogs and sunsets as a more surface level example. But if you're looking for more love in your life, then how do you feel that need yourself? You have to think about, what are the ways that I can show myself love? Is it eating well so that you can feel good from the inside out? Is it doing positive affirmations for 10 minutes every morning in the mirror because you know that these are the things that you need to hear to cultivate more love within yourself? Maybe it looks like finding 20 minutes in your day to do some meditation because you're a busy mom who struggles to find quiet time for herself. Or it could be something more like buying yourself your favorite flowers or doing a self-care night either at the spa or at home. What are the things that makes you feel the most loved that you can do for yourself? The point of this exercise is for you to realize that if you have a need that isn't being met or a cup that currently feels empty, you aren't completely powerless in what you can do. And this exercise helps you identify what it is that you need, opens your eyes to the many different types of solutions that are available, and by implementing those things where possible, you take the power into your own hands to ensure that that cup is being filled and that you're taking care of yourself the way that you need to. Sometimes things aren't that simple, but sometimes they are. And again, you can go deeper with what your true needs are and ways that you can fill that cup. But it just takes time, honesty, and courage to be real with yourself and go out there and try and do these things on your own. I'm trying to be a person of my own word and take my advice as this is a note to self. So I actually had called up a friend earlier this week and had asked her to hang out, which we did today. And the day before that, I actually put myself in an entirely new environment. I took an intro to hip hop dance class, and I didn't know that I couldn't move my body in certain ways until I tried that day. But I was really glad that I had the courage to go out there and try something new with the intention of making new friends, which I actually did. And I have to say that I feel a lot better after doing those things than I did when this problem first arose within my relationship with my partner. It gave me perspective on what I can do to fill my own need rather than relying on my partner or relying on other things outside of myself. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that this episode helps you in realizing that if you've been feeling like something's lacking or missing in life, you have the power to change that and find solutions or answers that you need to fill your own cup back up. You'll be better off learning how to fill your own cup sooner rather than later, not just for yourself, but for the people around you too, when you take away that responsibility off of them to have to always be the one to tend to your needs. By doing so, not only do you become more independent, but you also become more confident through that, and you take your happiness and fulfillment into your own hands. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that follow button so that you never miss another episode, and share it with your friends. Share it with your family that you feel could benefit from listening to this episode. I love you, and I'll talk to you in the next one.